What is going on, guys? What is going on, 27 Squad? Welcome back to another video. Well, the Giants have their
biggest test yet.
The Minnesota Vikings, who's on the verge of imploding, hanging by a thread, just waiting to burst, are coming to town to MetLife Stadium with the Giants team that is fresh off a 2-0 winning streak right now, winning 2 games back-to-back, looking for a third here at home against the Minnesota Vikings. This is going to be a game to watch because if the Giants come out with this game, they will make not only me a believer, but a lot of other Giants fans believers. And yes, a lot of other Giants fans are on the bandwagon right now. I'm not sold yet on the Giants, but if they win this game, the Giants will be a serious contender for at least a playoff contention. They may get knocked out at the last second, maybe week 16, week 17, but I honestly think the Giants can contend if they beat the Minnesota Vikings here. So, welcome into my preview with the New York Giants facing off against the Minnesota Vikings in week 5. So, my initial thoughts go like this. The offensive situation right now for the Vikings, they're about to implode, right? Kirk Cousins is on podcast apologizing. I'm sorry, Thielen. I'm sorry, Stephon Diggs. Please forgive me. I will throw you the ball next time. Please forgive me. You got Stephon Diggs threatening to sit out in this game. He's already sat out in practice. He's shown up at practice today, Thursday, but he wasn't playing. He was just there taking questions, and he said, and I quote, I gotta paraphrase a little bit. I don't know exactly what he said, but he did say that all the rumors are true. There's some truth to it, or whatever it is. So basically, all the rumors are true about what's going on with Diggs, Thielen, Kirk Cousins, guys like that. Mike Zimmer said he needs to be more confident. You could tell that Kirk Cousins has just a lack of confidence. He doesn't feel like he can get the ball there just because of him apologizing on podcasts, not taking ownership, and just acting like, quite frankly, a baby. And so is Stephon Diggs. He should be encouraging his quarterback, and, hopefully they can build from there, but that's just not happening there in Minnesota. And yes, the Minnesota situation sounds all fine and dandy for the Giants right now, being that this is all happening right before they play the Giants, but this is make or break for the Minnesota Vikings. The fact that all of this is happening now may just encourage a change in how Minnesota runs their offense. Now, last year they had a problem with not running the ball enough because they passed too much. Now, this year they're dealing with not passing the ball enough and not making enough plays in the air because they're running too much. Okay, so the Minnesota Vikings don't know what they are as far as an identity on the offense. They don't know what they're doing. So, listen, we may see an appearance from You like that from Kirk Cousins. We may see that Kirk Cousins again in this game where he is, back against the wall, had a lot of scrutiny under him, a lot of heads turning his way, seeing if he's a bust or not as far as the Minnesota Vikings quarterback, and we may see him ball out and try to prove himself once again as he did in Washington in that you like that game. So we may see that from him. We'll get to more of that in the 3 keys to success. But the Giants, right now, offensively, in every single offensive yardage statistic, the Giants are killing it right now. They are top 10 in every single offensive yardage statistic besides scoring points. Okay? They get a lot of yards total. They get a lot of yards passing. They get a lot of yards rushing. Okay? But they do not get enough points scored. I believe they're scoring just about 21 points a game, and they're giving up too many points. They're giving up just about 25 points a game. So that's not a good, method of success there. As far as defensively, they've been mediocre to under average, below average. They're giving up a decent amount of yards on the run. Not a lot, but a decent amount of yards. It's right around, middle of the pack. As far as the passing goes, they're giving up a lot of yards. I don't even want to talk about that. As far as the edge rush goes, the Giants have gotten, I believe, if my math is correct here, 11 sacks in about 3 games. They got no sacks in week 1, but week 2 they had 4 sacks. Week 3 they had 4 sacks. Week 4 they had 3 sacks. So if my math is correct, that's about 11 sacks there. And I think week 2 they had 4 sacks. I don't know, but they got around 11, 12 sacks on the season so far. So that's not too bad, being that what the Giants have there on offense. Lorenzo Carter's dealing with an injury. We'll get to that in the injury report. Matter of fact, let's talk about the Minnesota Vikings real quick as far as offensively goes. They don't have anything. They are almost dead last in every single offensive stat besides the run game. They get all their yards through the run game, which they are ranked 5th in the run as far as running the ball, but passing they're like bottom of the league. All total yardage, bottom of the league, and I think points per game, they're doing pretty good in points per game, but well, they scored nothing last week, so that doesn't help their point per game average. But that being said, let's move on to the injury report. So we're going to start off with the New York Giants. Saquon Barkley is an absolute monster. Who else do you see from a high ankle sprain 11 days later start practicing? Okay, it says here that because this injury report is not updated, but he was limited in practice today. He was practicing and working out with the Giants. He was limited there, so that's crazy to see that he might even come back at just being out 2 weeks with a high ankle sprain. So I'm loving it what I see from Saquon Barkley, and you guys can check out the video I did early on today about that. Alec Ogletree may not play with that hamstring injury. Kevin Zeitler did not practice with a shoulder injury, but he's been on the injury report for 2 weeks now besides this. So this is 3 weeks on the injury report, and he still played. So I believe he's going to play. It's just that, he's a star player, so we have to rest him, and he doesn't really need practice as much as these other guys do. Lorenzo Carter is limited in practice with a neck injury. Now, if he plays or not is a question, but I'm not really too worried about it. I think O'Shane Ximena is really fitting into his role there, and honestly, he may be a better pass rusher at this point than Lorenzo Carter. Lorenzo has not done too much as far as forcing pressure or getting sacked so far this season. Tay Davis with a concussion. He's limited in practice, but again, he might not play either, being that we did sign Josiah Tauefa to the roster, and Jabril Peppers may be taking more reps at the inside linebacker position because the Giants want to add a 3 safety look, which I told you guys about last week that I thought they were going to do that, and they are going to do that. Jabril Peppers is going to play a lot of that inside linebacker role, and so we'll see more of that. Wayne Gallman with a neck injury, he should play. Nate Solder with a neck injury, he should play as well. Now, Wayne Gallman has a little bit of a stinger, which I'm a little worried about, being that it's bringing me flashbacks from the David Wilson injury a couple of years ago where he couldn't shake that stinger. He wound up retiring, so that just scares me a little bit, but on to the Vikings. The Vikings are a little bit plagued with the injury bug as well. Anthony Harris, one of their star safeties, out with a quad injury. I don't know if he's going to play in this game, but he did not practice. I don't know if he's not practicing because he's a star player or what have you, but he is not practicing with a quad injury. Stephon Diggs, not injury related. As you guys know, I said that he was threatening to stay out of this game because of the lack of reps and the lack of targets and the lack of catches, for him during the season because of Kirk Cousins' play. So he's just rebelling a little bit. Josh Klein, the guard, is out with a concussion, limited with a concussion, and we'll see what happens there. Concussions you really don't want to test out, so he may not even play. Kentrell Brothers, the linebacker, is limited with a wrist slash, so he's dealing with 2 injuries, so we'll see what happens there. Garrett Bradbury is limited with a shoulder. Mackenzie Alexander and Xavier Rhodes are both on the injury report with elbow, groin, and knee injuries, but Xavier Rhodes is a full participant, so we'll see what happens there. And Jaron Kearse with the back injury. So there are a couple of guys on the Minnesota Vikings that could stay out of this game. Anthony Harris, Josh Klein, Garrett Bradbury, and Mackenzie Alexander are all guys that could be out of this game, and that helps us out a lot because Mackenzie Alexander is their second or third corner on the roster right now, so that may help us out. Anthony Harris is their second best safety there, and he's pretty good as well. And Josh Klein and Garrett Bradbury are both starters on that offensive line in the interior. So should help us out a little bit if these guys don't play. So guys, let's get on to the 3 keys to success, almost everybody's favorite segment of the previews. As you guys know, these 3 keys to success are both vital to the Giants' success and to the Giants' failure. It just depends if they want to listen to me. So let's get on to my first key to success. The first key, be ready for the play action. As you guys know, the Minnesota Vikings offense is imploding with the whole situation of them not passing the ball enough. So be ready for Dalvin Cook to run the ball, run, and you're going to see that one play action, Adam Thielen or Stephon Diggs downfield, and you may get one-on-one coverage because of the linebackers and safeties biting on play action. That's what they're going to be looking for. The Minnesota Vikings are going to be looking for the play action, and they're going to be looking to bite, and that's how they want to make their big plays downfield. They want to try to target Stephon Diggs in that way, and just be ready for the play action. It's going to come. They're going to run with Dalvin Cook a lot because that's what you should expect, and then they're going to try to, get a big chunk play downfield. My second key to success, it kind of feeds off of the first key. Don't underestimate the passing game, okay? You guys know, in week 1, Kirk Cousins only threw the ball 10 times, right? Because they were unsuccessful in throwing the ball. And this whole season, they've been unsuccessful in throwing the ball. Do not underestimate it. They might be game planning for that this week. The Giants have had very little to no success against the pass in this season so far, okay? So do not underestimate this passing game. These wide receivers are no joke. Remember, it's not just the wide receivers that are bad. They're not bad. Adam Thielen and Stephon Diggs are one of the best wide receiver duos in the NFL. Don't underestimate their ability to get open. And Kirk Cousins, a dead clock is right twice a day, okay? So he may hit a miracle throw downfield and complete for the wide receiver. These wide receivers can get open. It's all about if Kirk Cousins can hit them. Do not underestimate the Minnesota passing game. And number 3, my third key to success, make the most out of every offensive drive. Okay, you have to limit your turnovers. You have to limit, your third down, conversion rate. Make sure you convert on third downs. Make sure you limit turnovers, because this team, the Minnesota Vikings, are looking to run the clock down with Dalvin Cook and hit you downfield with the play action to the receivers and score points, okay? And that's how they're going to control this clock. We may not see too much of our offense on the field. Minnesota may just have a lot of success running the ball with Dalvin Cook that we may not see our offense out there too long. We have to make the most out of every offensive drive. Wayne Gallman and Jonathan Hilliman need not to fumble this game. Daniel Jones as well. All 3 of these guys have had ball security issues. They need to make sure they don't do that this game. Golden Tate is coming back, so that may add a new element to the passing game. We may even pass it a lot more than we run it, and which is fine, being that the Minnesota Vikings are very good at stopping the run, and Wayne Gallman just can't get it done too much to the point where he could consistently run the ball on Minnesota. So that being said, make the most out of every offensive drive. Score your field goals, score your touchdowns. Do what you have to do to chip away at the lead or try to build off the lead to win the game, because you may not get too many opportunities after that. Alright, now it's time for my roster comparison. Let's throw the screen up, and here we go. The quarterbacks. Obviously, I have to give the edge to the New York Giants. Daniel Jones is looking great. He's shown that he's human. Okay, he's shown that he is human in this last game against Washington, throwing 2 interceptions to Quentin Dunbar, who I told you has a lot of success on the Giants, and he did so last week. So I'm going to give the edge to the New York Giants. Kirk Cousins just isn't getting it done right now. Next up, the wide receivers. I'm going to give the wide receiver edge to the Minnesota Vikings. Now, I don't care that they're not successful in the passing game. It is not the wide receiver's fault. If we compare, straight up, who's the most talented wide receiving core, I have to give it to the Minnesota Vikings. Now, the Giants have more depth. I will acknowledge that. The Giants have a lot more depth than the Minnesota Vikings. Laquan Treadwell is a first-round bust, and he's their third receiver. And other than that, they're just not good. But Adam Thielen, Stephon Diggs are really, really, really good. Should you have a good quarterback to get them the ball, them 2 alone can just destroy a defense. So I'm going to give it to the Minnesota Vikings. All right, for the running backs, I have to give the edge to the Minnesota Vikings again. Okay, Dalvin Cook is just a beast on his own. Alexander Mattison, the 3rd-round pick out of Boise State by Boise State Broncos, has been doing a good job spelling Dalvin Cook. So I'm going to give the edge to the running backs to the Minnesota Vikings. Next up, the tight end. Now, Kyle Rudolph is okay. Kyle Rudolph is inconsistent as he has been for the past couple of years now. And Irv Smith is doing a fine job, the rookie out of Alabama. And Tyler Conklin is there. But I'm going to give the edge to the New York Giants there. Evan Ingram is second in the league in receiving yards for tight ends, only behind Travis Kelce. Evan Ingram is having himself a really, really good season for the Giants, and I got to give the edge to the Giants there. Next up, we have the offensive line. The offensive line is very beat up for the Minnesota Vikings, and it is not good. Riley Reef is not really that good at left tackle. Pat Elflein has been shifting from center to left guard for a while now, ever since he's been drafted. And Garrett Bradbury might not play, the rookie first-round pick this year, and Josh Klein may not even play at right guard either. So I got to give the edge to the New York Giants. They struggled last week. They struggled mightily the week before that, but I have a feeling they may be able to rebound just quite a bit this week. All right, moving on to the defensive side of the ball. Now, the Minnesota Vikings run a 4-3 defense, so it's going to be a little bit more complicated comparing these two defenses. So I'm going to separate it from defensive interior to edge rushers to linebackers. So let's get right on to it. So our edge rushers. Listen, the Minnesota Vikings have the clear edge here. Danielle Hunter and Everson Griffin are better than any other, any other edge rusher we have, okay? Danielle Hunter and Everson Griffin are a great duo, and they are extremely successful getting to the quarterback. Got to give the edge to the Minnesota Vikings. The interior I'm going to have to give to the Minnesota Vikings as well. They've been doing a really good job stopping the run, and Linval Joseph has been a beast for years. Now, the Giants have more pieces there in the interior with Dalvin Tomlinson, Dexter Lawrence, and B.J. Hill. But as far as who's doing it better right now, it's Linval Joseph, Shamar, Steven. These guys are doing a little better, so I got to give the defensive interior to the Minnesota Vikings. Next up, we've got the linebacking core. I'm going to give the linebacking core to the Minnesota Vikings. Obviously, the Giants are very beat up as far as the linebackers goes, and just talking about, the interior guys, the guys that are pass coverage. So, got to give the edge to the Minnesota Vikings. Anthony Barr, Eric Kendricks, Ben Gideon, these guys are great, so got to give it to them there. The cornerbacks, I'm going to give the edge to the Minnesota Vikings once again. They are a really good cornerback core. They may be without Mackenzie Alexander, but Xavier Rhodes has been a really good number one for them for the past couple years. And Janoris Jenkins is very shaky on if he's good or not. He can't decide. So I got to give the edge to the Minnesota Vikings. All right, the safeties, got to give the edge to the Minnesota Vikings. Harrison Smith is one of the best safeties in the league right now. Could be the best safety in the league right now. Anthony Harris is also there, but he is injured. He might not even play. But either way, got to give the edge to the Minnesota Vikings. Harrison Smith is just an absolute beast, and nobody comes close to that on the Giants roster. So that is the roster comparison. As you guys can see, the Minnesota Vikings really outrank us in almost every position. The Giants just have a few edges here and there, but we'll see if we can get the win. I predict the Minnesota Vikings to win 27-17 on the road against the New York Giants. Listen, I want to be confident in the New York Giants. I want to drink the Kool-Aid. I want to be as confident as all you other Giants fans out there. It's completely understandable how you think the Giants are going to win. I understand it. I don't want to be a Debbie Downer, but I just have to go that way. I got to be as non-biased as I can. I see the Minnesota Vikings winning this game. They're favored by 5 on the road, and I think they may cover that spread pretty handily. So I'm going to predict the Minnesota Vikings to win 27-17. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Leave a like if you guys enjoyed. Subscribe if you guys are new. And I know I have the Minnesota Vikings winning, but let's get this win, baby. Let's get this win. Yeah!